Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 318. It is the second day of the week, aka the special beam cannon workout. I am feeling pretty good right now. I am very excited for this workout. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Pacification into passionless people. So the main reason why this is coming up is because I made an episode not that long ago of here about the fact that the arts are being ruined for the sake of the self. And I think that in that video, you could probably tell that I was a little bit more passionate than normal when speaking about these things. And then it got me thinking, oh, there's probably going to be a comment or three about the fact that I am being passionate about something, and that's kind of cringe. And then it got me thinking, my God, this happens all the time now. So in today's episode, we're going to look at this weird pacification that people have gotten into to the point where either they believe in some weird nihilism or something else like cringing or something like that, to the point where they're not allowed to have or show any emotion for something that they might actually care about, because then it will show either some type of negative trait, whether it be cringe or whatever else thing that they might associate with it. And I wanted to just talk about it because I think that a lot of people have basically sold their soul to whatever corporation they can, or whatever thing that they have, whatever higher being is in their brain, to pacify themselves and not really be passionate about anything anymore. And that's leading to a lot of disasters in the world, really. The lack of wanting to do stuff, the ultimate just pacification of people, where they just will become a gelatinous mess of things that they are, and that's it. There's no real substance behind them. There's no real backbone. They won't actually stand up to anything. They won't actually have morals. They won't have actual grounds to hold and defend. And I think that that's part of the reason why I just wanted to look into this, because it's just such a phenomena that happens today, specifically the idea that even if you show any type of emotion towards anything, that it is seen as a bad thing. And I think that we need to stop that. I think that that is detrimental in all of society, regardless of whether or not you would like, if you think the person or what they're saying is bad, of course there is that. That's like a different story. But the idea of letting them be passionate about whatever the fuck they are being passionate about. Obviously, there are some retarded takes out there in the world, of course, and that is something else to criticize upon a person. But the fact that they are passionate about it, whether I disagree or not, at least they're passionate about something. And that's the entire point that I'm going to try to make in this video, or at least try to get to, at least that. And then the idea that why are people so against having like stances, or even just having passion about things? So we're going to look at that and a few other things when we get to Mother Base. All right, so started this day off with squats, which was all right. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The pacification into passionless people. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this was because I found that a lot of people nowadays, for some reason, whenever somebody gets passionate about certain things, the others will call them cringe and or dog them for having such passions about certain things. Like, why are you getting mad about this, or things like that, which I understand, of course, because we can do trolling, of course, every once in a while. I understand that. But there's a certain level of discourse that gets nullified because of these types of people, which is very frustrating. It's frustrating because of the fact that it gets nullified. So then the subject matter can never really be spoken about, because the moment that they are, and things can get a little uncomfortable for other people, they try to cut it down via saying something like, oh, dude, that's being cringe, or you're looking too into it, or you're being too passionate about it, or you're showing too much emotion about it. Like, what are you mad? Like all this other stuff. And it's a very nihilistic viewpoint, in which case I cannot stand for those types of people, because realistically, if you are a nihilist, you should probably be executed, but that's a whole other story for a whole other day. But still, I think it is something where if you are standing for something, I think it is okay to be passionate about those things. And I think that people have been psyched out and or just mentally raped to the point where they cannot stand for anything, and thus they'd rather just not even do anything and call out those for some reason who want to stand for something, rather than have their feelings and or worldview challenged by someone else. It is a very interesting thing to see, because you see this all the time now with people who just don't really want to show emotions about certain things. And it's very interesting what they'll say about that. Usually, in what I mean by that is that it's usually something has changed for the worse is usually how it goes. And when somebody complains about it, usually the other side will say, well, what are you talking about, dude? Why are you complaining? Why are you so passionate about this? Go make your own, go do your own thing. Well, the problem with those types of ordeals is that you are conceding to the fact that you're right, you just need to leave, in which case you are just proving their point in the sense that because you are passionate about this, you're right about it, and they should leave in theory, and they should stop being such a fence sitter and a terrible person for not having an actual belief in things. And I think that that's the main issue with it for me personally, is that most of the people who do this have a lack of morality in their own life, and thus they will not necessarily have a passion for things. They're too much of a fence sitter. They're too much of a non-playable character who does not want to impact the world in any way, shape, or form. They want everybody to like them. They want the idea that they are in the middle and they are likable to everybody be their dominant trait, because they can't stand the idea of others disliking them for having an actual stance, even though having an actual stance is the most human you can be, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right or whatever. It doesn't matter politically, because realistically, if you don't have a stance on anything, what do you stand for? Absolutely nothing. So get the fuck out of the way. It's very interesting that people will do this, and they will immediately equal anything to like what I'm talking about as cringe, and then move on, because there's usually just one word tropes nowadays in order to trump people into some weird like box that you're kind of supposed to fit into, because you're passionate about this, that's cringe anyways. And then it's like, okay, they go on to talk about the most benign, dumbfounding, backwards ass shit immediately after, because the moment that you actually try to challenge anything in their life or stand for anything, they just concede and try to minimize anything that they see as terrible, even though in reality most of the people who use this are just projecting, but that's kind of a different story for a different day. I think the worst part about these types of people that drive me insane is the fact that they are very lack of drive in the world, the lack of wanting to do anything, to say anything, to just be there and be witnesses to the degradation of the world, whether it be arts, video games, media, whatever it is, just societal norms, things like that. They will allow themselves to be pushed off to the side, cast away into basically nothingness, just because they decided to say, you know what? You care too much, which is the worst thing that you could do and say, is that you care too much. You can never really care too much, because if you care too much, you're going to get the complete opposite. And the complete opposite is not caring enough, in which case you are a slob of a human and you deserve all the things that are coming to you, which is absolutely nothing, because if you don't do anything or aren't passionate about something, then nothing's going to happen to you. The world is going to happen to you, in which case the world will be able to exact its will upon you. And because of that, you're going to be molded into absolutely nothing but a passionless person walking around who has no true soul. And instead of pushing your will out into the world to make sure that you have a passion, have a soul in this world that can and will beat you down into a nothing mesh of a moralist piece of shit. So you got to exact your will against that type of stuff. And we're back. Welcome to the Workout Debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, also none. Got everything in, thankfully. Anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The pacification of passionless people. The main reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I want to discuss it in the sense that I am tired of seeing people getting reamed over being passionate about certain things. Now, there are certain subject matters in which case you are stupid to be for having these opinions. Yes, of course, it's fine. I can understand that. But still, I think there is a level to it where you can have at least expressiveness about it. Now, there is a point where you're doing a little too much, where you're crying on camera, but that's a whole other subject matter. We'll get to that in a different episode. But I think to be passionate about something is a good thing, and I think that a lot of people look down upon that nowadays. It is seen as a negative rather than a positive, in which case it's like you care too much, and it's like, yes, we should care more. There are things that we should care more about, and without caring about it, they go to shit. Look at half of the things that are hobbies now, because people have gotten not careless with it. All of a sudden, when you're careless, oh, look at that, it's shit. So for some reason, those two things, the two thoughts never really cross over and are able to be understood at once, where, maybe if people were passionate about this, then maybe we could save it from this distinct extinction that's slowly happening. And it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be anything across the board. I think a lot of people can see it in whatever they like to do, or whatever hobbies they might have, whatever they're actually passionate about when it comes to societal issues or politics or whatever the fuck you want to put into this little box. I think that most people will understand what I'm saying when people just kind of say whatever and then move on. It's interesting how the memory hole, as seen right here, is so powerful that you can really just get away with anything, or the idea of something being so cringe because they are showing emotion that it kind of negates having the emotion. It's like you're stigmatizing the idea of being passionate about something and ruining it for the rest of us, when in reality you're the asshole for even saying something like that. Sure, you can say that to make fun of the person, because of course I understand trolling. I'm not going to say no to that. But also, I think that it is a certain point where where it's that meme. I'm going to post it up right here. It's like the infinite faces, to where you have so many layers of irony you don't even know where you are anymore, to the point where you aren't even a person. You're just anti whatever the hell the person that you're looking at is, which at this point, what do you stand for? Who are you? And then you have to ask really yourself that. And I think a lot of people don't like to ask themselves that. So at the end of the day, they will just latch on to the idea of making fun of others, or just not being passionate about anything, because then they can never really be disappointed or upset or anything like that, and never really, God forbid, have an extreme emotion about something. But for some reason, you say something that they disagree with, and then all of a sudden you are the idiot for having that extreme emotion, or just general hard stance line on something. For some reason, that is seen as a bad thing. And those people should be shunned and bullied. Honestly, they should be bullied, but we'll talk about bullying in a different episode. With that being said, though, and just to conclude this a little bit, I think that if you are passionate about something, great. And if somebody is against you being passionate about something, call them out and bully them. Bully them 100%, because they deserve it. And a lot of people don't realize that that's what the point of bullying is, to make sure that societal norms are squared out with certain people. But hey, like I said, different story for a different day. But fuck those people. And if you're one of those types of people who rags on people for showing emotion or whatever, fuck you and go suck a dick. You eat corn the long way. But anyways, with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. Something that has been on my mind for a little bit, for a while now. It's something that I see quite often, so I'm very curious to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy, stay safe out there, and stay cool. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.